That's there. And secondly, you've already started live stream. I can't hear you, Surya.
I'm just trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will help to sort of cut them short if there is a way. And also, whenever they say I'm struggling to find job, I've been trying so much. Either do you, I mean, I will pitch in and say they can sign up for our job search service. We'll help them and things like that. So just a few things. The people are joining. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll wait for a few more minutes for the rest of them to join and then start this. While everybody joins, can you people leave a message on the chat telling us a little about you? Where are you joining us from and what do you do? Thank you for sharing, Hari.
No worries.
Hi, Vivek. Thank you so much. We'll start in about 3 minutes, Punit. I'd also request you all to keep your video on. That way um, we know it's nice to see people's faces and smiles.
Hello. While we're waiting, we'll start at 11:05. Like Shilpa said, it'll be awesome if you guys could share where you are from right now, what you do.
Yes, for the
Either
ones who not mind.
either of these questions, both of these questions, anything you guys want to share about yourself, it'll be awesome.
Thank you, Vijaya. Thank you, Kirtana. Hi, Jeremy. Thank you. Surya, Jeremy says he's looking for a job. Maybe you could share our link with him for him to sign up for our job search service. You can put it on the chat, maybe. Okay, it's 11:05. Should we start? Great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shilpa Sri Jagannathan, a community manager for the Next Innings. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's mentoring session about careers and quality assurance. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the land we are meeting is on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Our session today is designed to provide insights into the dynamic and rapidly evolving field of quality assurance. We're thrilled to have Puneet Randhawa, a tech leader based in GTA. She landed in Canada in 2011. Like most of us here, she's a mother too, and of 2 kids. Beyond her role as a mom, she has found fulfillment in a career in software quality assurance. She loves being a leader as she sees it as an opportunity to inspire and guide others. She nurtures aspiring quality assurance professionals and builds cohesive teams. Outside of work, she loves reading and has problem-solving approach to everything she does. Before I hand it over to Puneet, I'd like to remind some house rules. Please keep yourself on mute when you're not talking. Note down your questions or feel free to ask them in the chat box. We have a section for question answers. We'd also request you to keep your questions brief. Without further ado, I'll hand over the webinar to Puneet. Thank you. Puneet, over to you.
Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you guys are joining. It's my absolute pleasure to be here talking to you all. So I'll start sharing my screen, get into the presentation, like you were already told, please feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat. I'll try my best to keep this session interactive, and we'll see what we accomplish in the next hour and a half together. Let me start sharing. I'm not able to share my screen. Probably might have to give me a permission to do that. Shilpa?
Surya, can you do that, please?
Yep.
Yeah,
now
yes, done. Done.
Perfect. Give me a shout if you guys are able to see my slideshow.
Yeah, it's visible.
All right. Let me get started here. All right, so first of all, I'd like to really thank the Next Innings for giving me this opportunity to talk to you folks. So like some of you, I've been in your shoes. I'm an immigrant, I'm a mom, I'm a working person. So life can be difficult when playing all of those roles. So what I'm hoping to do in the next hour and a half is talk about QA career in Canada, but also to have a little bit of fun amongst ourselves. because learning doesn't have to be dull all the time. So with that in mind, let's get started. So agenda, I'm sure you guys are curious about what are we going to learn here. So I'm going to answer a lot of these questions that I'm thinking will be required out of this session and also what you're here for. So first question, who the hell am I and why am I qualified to talk to you guys? And then what is QA anyways? Some of you might be aware of what this profession entailed, but others who are probably new to it or are looking for a career pivot will talk about QA and also to ensure that we are all on the same page when we're talking about QA. And then which hat or profile fits you best? And I'll dig a little bit deeper into why would we want to talk about that, because you may or may not have seen that a lot of different job titles float around in the industry when we're talking about quality assurance. And then after hearing all of this, you will be anxious to let me help you figure out how do you just make it in, because a lot of you might be just waiting for that one break that opens up doors for you. So I'm going to talk to you from experience, what has worked for me and what might work for you as well. And then what you're looking for. So as a hiring manager, for actually over a decade now, what do I look for in people reaching out for to be a QA team member on my team? And also knowing other peers in the industry, what are generally hiring managers and employers looking for when they're trying to get people into their team? And then again, I am very sure by that time you'll be probably tired of hearing me speak. So we'll get into resources. I've kept the number of resources to be a very small pool, but know that it's small but powerful. You can Google and get a lot of resources, but for me personally, what's most difficult is that you have so much plethora of knowledge in this day and age that it's very difficult to figure out what's legit and what's not. So based on my experience, I'll share some resources with you, and then we can also talk about, if you really want to, even after all of this, well, how can you connect with me? And I can have one-on-one chats with you for mentorship. Sounds good with me? Actually, let me adjust my screen a little bit because looks like I'm just talking to myself and I'm not able to see you folks. All right, let's do this. I can now see you guys. And we are back into our slideshow. All right, so we'll get started. But first, let me put this away. So in terms of facilitation techniques, one of the things that I've learned by talking to a lot of people is connection before content. And what that means is we are going to get to the content. The content is very important, but let's find a connection between us, connection between you and me, and connection between this entire set of audience as well that is sharing this room and space with you. So I was thinking a lot about how will we go about doing that, given we've never talked to each other before, or there are some of you in here that I have talked to before. But how do I build a connection within this community that has just formed? So I'll ask you a very simple question, and please answer that in the Zoom chat itself. How much experience do you have in quality assurance field so far? 0 is a perfectly acceptable answer. 15 years is great, but I'll pause for a little bit and wait to see your experience. Yep, I see a few zeros coming in. 10 plus years. 0, 0, 6, 13, more 13s. 6, 7, 5, 8. That's awesome. 3. Are you going to say something?
Yes, I had a question. Does QA involve some sort of customer service experience?
I would say traditional quality assurance where you've had that title.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Yep, keep it coming. right. So why did I ask this, and what does this tell us? As a group, we are coming with a huge diversity of experience. For people with 0 years of experience, you're either fresh out of school and looking for a job in QA. You could be an immigrant in a new country trying to find your first job. You could be pivoting careers from a different role to a new one. A lot of reasons why you have 0 years. We have 3, 5, 13 years, 15 years of career. So look at the amount of shared experience we have in this room. If I'm counting all those years, there is 50 plus, 60 plus years of experience in this room right here. So know that what I'm bringing is just part of what you already have. And I encourage you guys to connect with each other and learn from each other's experiences as well, and build that community that is going to be very important in your journey moving forward. So now that we know a little bit about each other, let's move on. All right, who am I? So this slide is all about me. So I'll talk a little bit about myself, but I promise I won't spend too much time on it. So throughout my journey, so I have over 13 years of experience in quality assurance, and throughout my journey, I've had different roles. So I've been an individual contributor, I have been a team lead, I have been a manager, and today I'm a director. And who knows where I'll go next? I don't know. I haven't decided. I might just still stick with this. But I could be anything, and you guys can be too. In terms of the different domains that I've worked with in the past, I started my career in enterprise mobile device management. I worked in IoT, that is Internet of Things, retail big data, accounting, auditing, life sciences. Currently, I'm in InsurTech. And the point here being, by the way, everything I put in here is going to have a point, and I'll try my best to relay that. So the point here being, when you're in quality assurance, you could stick within a particular domain. A lot of people choose to stay in pharma and life sciences domain. Others choose to stay in fintech. My personal choice has been to explore a lot of different domains. And for me, the motivation behind that was, it is the learning that I get from it that is very rewarding for me. So I make sure every new position that I go for, I find it in a different domain, but you don't have to. And in terms of the size of companies that I've had an opportunity to work with, so I worked in very small startups. So I did 3 startups so far. Then I moved on to mid-sized company. I have worked for a very large public company as well. So suffices to say that I've allowed myself to explore a lot of different company sizes as well. And what a role of an individual QA versus a QA leader looks like in this different company sizes really varies a lot. And again, I have enjoyed learning and kind of helping people along their journey as well because of my experience here. And on the personal side, as Shilpa already told you, I'm a mom to 2 beautiful kids who keep me very busy outside of my professional life. I love reading a lot. I'm an avid reader. That's probably my only hobby. It is my fun time. It is my me time. So I like reading. And if you combine that with a cup of coffee, I'm on cloud 9. So absolutely love coffee. And the other thing I like to share about myself is that I'm an introvert. I'm a proud introvert. That means I need time to myself at the end of the day to just unwind and relax a little bit. Because of my career and a leadership role, I've trained myself to come out and talk to a lot of people. And I usually get asked, how could you be an introvert? And I'm telling you, if you are an introvert, it doesn't necessarily have to show on your professional front, but embrace it fully. So that's a little bit about me. And also just a heads up, Shilpa and Surya, I'm not looking at chat. It really distracts me. So if there's anything that I need to address, just feel free to pause me at any time.
Okay, so you
Cool.
don't have any questions, but there are some comments. So 2 comments are from me. I said, I love the way this slide is designed. And I also said that Hari said, Prime Minister, I like that. So I added saying, yeah, I'd love to see a woman Prime Minister in Canada.
Right? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I've tried to open the chat a little bit. I'll see if I can address some of that. But I'm a terrible.
You can focus on your presentation. I will let you know when there are comments and specifically questions. I'll be more quick. Comments, I'll keep it at a time when you're taking a break.
Awesome. Sounds
Yeah.
good. All right, so let's move on. So we've talked a lot about me, and that tells you a little bit about my personal and professional journey, but it still doesn't tell you why am I qualified to talk to you folks. So I have put in a statement in here that's really packed, and I'll talk to you about that. I am an immigrant. I'm a mother, a woman of color who's working in tech leadership. For any of you who's held one or more of these roles, know what it takes to reach where I have reached. I immigrated to Canada in 2011. I had not worked before. I had just finished my school back in India. I was here without any professional support at all. I did not know anybody. And the only input I kept hearing was, there is absolutely no way you can get into a Canadian market without Canadian experience or Canadian education at the minimum. I had a lot of responsibility on myself, and it was a scary place to be. My first job here in Canada was a 2-week contract as a QA in a startup. So it was very difficult for me to say yes to that as well, because 2 weeks left me neither here nor there. And I was getting a full-time job as a receptionist. So it was difficult to choose between getting a paid full-time job versus picking up just a 2-week contract for the industry that I wanted to go into, but it was very risky. I lived in a basement apartment for a very long time. And I commuted to work 2 hours one side by public transit every day. I did it for a very long time, and I hustled. I took that job for a 2-week QA contract, if anybody's interested, and rest is history. Here I am in front of you, telling you that you can do it too. It might look difficult today, not just might look, I know it is difficult today, but with enough grit and trying to be at the right place at the right time and all the support you can gather, you will make it. And I know that because I did too. This is, I promise, going to be the heaviest slide. And I just wanted to put it out there, not for a pity party or sympathy, but just telling you that it is possible for you as well, even though it looks difficult today. All right, let's move on. I promise we'll try to get a lot more laughs after this. So software quality assurance. So let's get into the meat of our discussion here today. So you must have noticed so far we've been talking about quality assurance, and now I have put in the word software quality assurance in front of it. And that is to tell you that this is where my decade of experience comes in. There are a lot of different fields where quality assurance happens, I think in almost every field. So in pharma, in manufacturing, in food industry. And true story, I recently, a couple of months ago, met somebody who was in quality assurance. And if you know me, my eyes just lit up when I find somebody in a similar field. So I asked them, what does their job profile look like? And they said they are a quality assurance specialist in a bakery. I mean, in a bakery, like that for me is a dream job. Imagine I'm tasting cakes for a lifetime. But this is to tell you that quality assurance can happen in a lot of different fields, areas. But today we'll focus on software quality assurance because aside from my love for food, there is no other value I can bring from other industries. All right, so let me start by explaining QA in layman terms. I have another anecdote for you guys. So when I was working in the IoT industry, so I worked in a waste management company, and that company had a lot of hardware engineers as well. So pretty much same number of software engineers that has hardware engineers. So one time we had a company-wide session where I was addressing the account managers and hardware engineers to help them understand what is quality assurance, like what do I do? And this is how I explained it to them. I said, I get paid to find faults in other people's work. So promise me you're not going to repeat this outside of this room because I know your dev counterparts are not going to like it. But it rang true to them. They kind of figured out that my job is to catch issues, defects, problems before the end users of their products would find it. So that's a very easy way for you guys to explain it to somebody who's not privy to software quality assurance, and that works. But in general, within the software domain, when we talk about quality assurance, one of the definitions that is very prevalent is quality means ensuring the product or service does what it's supposed to do, and it does not do what it's not supposed to do. And I'll break it down for us. So let's assume we take an example of a simple web page that we are testing. So we're testing the login functionality, and it goes something like this. You put in your username, you put in your password, and you click the login button, and voila, you go in. So assuming that is what you're testing the quality for, when you are trying to ensure it does what it's supposed to do, it means you put in the correct username, the correct password, click the login button, and it lets you in. And the second part is to ensure it does not do what it's not supposed to do. So I'll explain this double negative. So that means is when either your username or your password is incorrect, and you press on the login button, it should not let you go in. So coming back to my original question, what does quality mean? When we have those discussions, I get this definition a lot. And I want to point out that what we just talked about is called testing. It is not quality assurance in its whole. Testing is a part of quality assurance where you're testing the functionality of the product and service that's going out, but quality encompasses a lot more than just testing. Quality is ensuring that your customers have reliable product or service available. It is secure, it is redundant, it is scalable. So a lot of these things together make a quality product. So my go-to definition, and I promise I use this even in interviews for myself, is quality is the confidence that your product will work in customer environment as intended. So that means whatever it takes to make or build a quality product is the job of a quality assurance person. So far with me? Do we need to pause for anything, Shilpa? We good?
Yes, I just want to make a point where you brought up your contract with with a startup, right? So this is something my founder, Manjula, is here. Manjula, are you there? I saw her. Yeah, so she keeps often talking when she's guiding women, right? She often says, focus on startups. They are more easy to get into. Like we are a startup too. I managed to crack here because she saw some potential. I mean, they're quick to see the potential in people, right? So that's a very interesting story that you shared. Thanks for sharing. But otherwise, there's just some comments, not really a question for you. But yeah, people are craving for cake, as you mentioned it.
Sure. I'm always craving for cake or coffee or both. So all good. I hear you guys. All right, so I'll keep going. So various QA profiles. I think when I was giving my agenda in the beginning, I talked about what hat would fit you in a QA world. So when you guys might be looking for QA opportunities, or even when you connect with different QA people, you'll hear a lot of different QA related terms being thrown out. So there is QA, there is QE, there is QAE, So quality assurance, quality engineer, quality assurance engineer, and SDET, so software development engineer in test, a tester, a test automation engineer, an automation engineer, a quality specialist, and who knows, maybe somebody does all of that, and a ninja. So it gets very confusing for a lot of folks to understand whether all of these are the same or different. What part of this do you qualify for? Where do your aspirations lie? And in terms of talking about QA profiles, there is a major distinction that's probably very controversial in our industry, and we have an elephant in the room, so I would absolutely love to talk about in open, is manual testing versus automated testing. And that, by the way, is the elephant in the room. So manual testing means that you're actually button clicking yourself and going through the flow of a product that you're testing manually, as opposed to automated testing means using tools, technology, and/or code to automate that flow. So the industry is or was at some point divided between manual testers versus automated testers, but it is blending a lot. And I am very sure a lot of questions that are going to come my way are going to be, should I take manual testing? Should I learn to code and do automated testing? What does the future look like for me if I do one versus the other? And here is my take on it. The industry is moving more and more towards automated testing, and that is the future of not just our industry, that is the future of this generation as a whole. If you are with me and noticing the changes going around us, the speed with which AI has changed our world today is mind-blowing. I have never seen a single change affect us so rapidly as AI has. And by that, I mean not even advent of the internet or the computer. So that tells you that technology is moving at a very fast pace. And my advice is, do not be scared of coding. We will talk about resourcing and how to get onto that path. But if we are talking about where the industry is going, that is largely where it's going towards. But having said that, there are a lot of companies that are actually making this transition as people are transitioning their roles as well. So there are a lot of manual only testing roles available. And even better, there are companies that are ready to hire manual testers who then want to learn and transition into being automated testers. So largely the distinction between QA and QE is quality assurance means you are mostly focused on manual aspect of testing, and quality engineer means you are writing code to be able to test or bring in automated testing. So now that we've talked about that, let me move on to the next one. All right, so there are different profiles, there are different titles. How do you guys make it into the field? You're either trying to enter this field, you're either trying to transition into QA field from another role, or you could be somebody who's already in this field and finding it a little bit difficult to level up. So I have a magic trick for you. As you can see, that's me, by the way. That's that. If I dress up nicely, that's how I look. So I have a foolproof trick for you guys to figure out how do you do that. And I also mentioned future-proof, and by that I mean as far ahead in future as we can see. Like I said, with the rapid pace at which things are changing, we really don't know what to expect long term. So short term, this is going to work for all of you. And here is my magic trick. Go look up job descriptions and job postings for the profile that you're trying to get. It is as simple as that. I'm sure it's not a novel idea. You've heard about it before. But like I said, different domains and different company sizes have a few varied requirements. So go read up on all of them for whatever level of role that you're looking for. You could be looking for an entry or a junior level, an associate, an intermediate, a senior, a lead, a manager. Go read a lot of job descriptions, and that is where you're going to get your hints about what skills do you already have, what do you want to highlight from what you have, and what do you want to build more of. Then you might come to, and Hari, I see your hand is raised. I'll just finish this one and then I'll hear from you. And then let's say you are looking for, assuming an intermediate QA engineer, and a lot of different companies are asking for different things. And it might not be practical for you to train yourself on all of that. Here are a few things that have worked for me in the past. When you list all those things down, based on your interest, prioritize learning them and focus on few key areas that you want to be great at. That is going to be your value add in that organization. And also know that when hiring managers and employers advertise a job posting, they put in an ideal candidate, but they are ready to compromise if they find somebody who has about 70 to 75% of the skill set, and they see a potential for that candidate to learn everything else on the job. So it is possible, and please do not wait until you have 100% of the qualifications. But make sure that you know what you have and you know what you need to become later. So that's it. That's the magic trick. All right.
Yeah, so I have been looking for QA positions for almost a month now, and I'm seeing that especially I'm trying to target the entry level roles. However, I'm finding that even the entry level roles, companies are requiring some sort of experience, whether if they require coding or no coding. My question is, for somebody who's trying to break in, like wants to make a transition to QA, how do they show on their resume that, like, because companies are looking for that some sort of a practical experience, and obviously for a hiring manager they would automatically hire somebody who already has experience, but for a newcomer it's really difficult. So how do you like for a newcomer, how should they gain that practical experience?
Gotcha. So there are a few things I'll address in your question, Hari. By the way, it's a very good question, and it's a very practical question as well. So a couple of things here. Know that you're not alone. It is hard breaking into any fields. And the state of the market, at least the software industry that is today, with all the layoffs going on, the pool of people who are applying for a particular job is so high that the barrier to entry for newcomers is that much higher. Also, QA is a field that a lot of people tend to go towards. So for QAs, you are competing against people who might not have a technical background from project management. So every single position has a very high ratio of requirement versus people who are actually trying to get that role. So know that when you feel it's hard, it really is hard. So that's the hard part. The second part of your question is, how do you then make it in? So I have a few suggestions. One is take up QA-related courses on the site and list them there and how they are relevant to this opportunity that you have applied for. Become part of QA communities. There are tons of QA communities where you can learn useful skills and go put it on there. And by putting all of this in there, you are telling the potential employer that even though you do not have prior experience, you're not coming in as a blank slate. You understand the industry and you're just looking for a chance to make it in. Also, I cannot stress enough networking. Hari. So it is a very simple and very well-known fact that networking is going to help fill a role, or a referral is going to help fill a role way faster than you would apply for that role. Having said that, I myself have hired people who were new to the country, who were new to the fields, and I'm absolutely proud of doing that because they were one of the best hires I've made. So hang in there, employers will take a chance on you. It's very difficult for them when there are people with prior experience coming in and they have to pick and choose. So try showing your value, your worth. What are you going to bring to the table versus anybody else? And it's a sales job. You're selling yourself to the employer for your skill set. Yep. Anything else? Okay, good. Let's keep moving. All right. So again, great segue into the next topic I wanted to cover is when you're going into an interview, and this again applies to both people who do not have an experience before or people who have an experience. According to me, as a hiring manager in QA industry, these are the absolute basics that you need to know before going into an interview to show the value that you're trying to bring to that organization. Have a good understanding of SDLC, software development lifecycle, and software testing lifecycle, and the relevant methodologies. If you do not understand this, the chances are that you're not coming from a software background, and the hiring manager is going to know that very fast, and also that you haven't educated yourself on it. Again, you don't necessarily have to come from that background, but you need to make sure that you understand the field that you're going into. Different types of testing. This is the one when people that I'm interviewing, when they get it wrong, it really breaks my heart. Types of testing is the bare minimum you need to know when you're actually applying for a job that is going to ask you to do all the testing. So at the end, when I share resources, I have a resource that gives a very good summary of all these types of testing. Then test case management tool. So as part of your job, you're going to be writing, maintaining test cases. One, understand what it means to have a test case management tool. And two, even if you do not have experience with it in the past, educate yourself on that. Samir, I see you. I'll finish the slide. Defect tracking tool. So again, hopefully everybody here understands what a defect is. If not, let's educate ourselves first on what a defect is, and then how defect tracking can be done, because that's another major aspect of your job as a software quality assurance. Reporting. So reporting is what is going to tie all of this together. What you're doing daily, how you're contributing as an individual contributor, how does that go back to the rest of your team is reporting. Then automation testing tools and frameworks. Note that I have put this under basic topics. That means even if you're going for a manual testing role and you're going to be upfront that you do not know anything about automation testing, that is not a reason or excuse to not know about what are some of the automation testing tools and frameworks and how can they make a quality assurance person's job better. So educate yourself on all of that, even if that's not going to be your daytime job. CI/CD, so that is continuous integration and continuous delivery. What does it mean? It is almost seen as a buzzword in our industry, but the amount of advancement we've had so far, CI/CD is again a part of what we deliver every single day. And then release cadence. Do you know what it means? Do you, in your previous role, what was the release cadence? What does it even mean to release something? So these are the basic topics I highly encourage you to educate yourself on. And I promise you, if you do a simple Google search, all of these answers will be right there in front of you. The number of resources we have, it might be overwhelming you to skim through them, but there's not going to be a lack of resources. So that's my spiel. Samir.
Thank you so much. Sapneet, I just want to have an understanding. there's a possibility that I might have missed in the beginning, like what you said, because I joined a little late. But I actually have been working for Microsoft. I worked in Microsoft for about 3 years in Canada, and even though like I was performing well and everything, but of course like department went they shut down the department in US, UK, Canada, and Australia. So I was laid off, and it's been like almost a year. I did some certifications like cloud computing and like Azure 900. That's a fundamental one, and then MS 900. I'm already in the process of actually doing the administrator one, and I did also a certification back sometime like 4 5 years back in Microsoft, sorry, in data analytics. And now I'm in, since like the job market is so sluggish at this point in time, and I've been trying to get a job, I have not been able to get one. So somebody just did suggest me that if I can get into QA testing. Now,
Right.
even if I do not have any background, I mean, since all these topics that you have mentioned, but if I can just like, Google it, and I can just maybe do a 1 or 2 hour course, or maybe like some, just to get to know about it, what exactly does it talk about, and how I can go about it, maybe 2 day or 3 day I can spend over it.
Right?
Do I stand a chance to get into the industry?
Absolutely. So you already have a technical background. Samir, you work for Microsoft, which we all know is very reputable. And having a break in your career right now, I know is not going to be a huge problem because everybody understands that it's a tough market right now. So from what I'm hearing from the brief description that you gave me is you already have understanding of technology and a lot of tools. You just want to make yourself aware of QA fields and how you can use your existing technical knowledge and apply that to the QA field. If this is how you approach this, you absolutely stand a very good chance of entering into QA field.
And just like want to understand like what kind of companies, what kind of profiles that I should target if I have to apply. What kind of roles that I should be targeting, so that I know that okay, fine, I am. I mean, if there's a 50-50 chance, if so, of no, like people must be applying who already have experience in this field. But since I do not come from this background, having a different background, because the profile that I was working for was more of a sale and support in Microsoft. So I was basically, supporting people. Yeah.
Yep. So Samir, go look for some of the profiles that I actually put in and see. So when you're looking for, I would say look for quality assurance, quality engineer, and tester profiles, and then read their job descriptions. See which ones can you actually apply yourself most to, ramp yourself on those skill sets and requirements, and those are the ones that you should go for. And also know that you don't need to be stuck with any of these. Once your profile gets picked up and you go into an interview and you find out it doesn't really align with what you want to do, be very open to kind of pivoting as well. But I'd say read job descriptions, see what speaks to you, where your skill sets lie, and that is going to be your best bet.
Right. Thanks so much, Puneet. But just the last one more thing which I want to check. Is it essential for one to have any sort of an educational background in this QA when you want to just get into an entry level position? Is it essential for me to have some certain kind of a certification or something like that? Or as I mentioned, like the kind of background that I already have, like I do have some fundamental certifications in Microsoft Azure and all, so it still has some value. It still stands. It will give me an
Has
entry level.
in terms of your original question, Samir, is it required? No. Does it help? Yes, always. So if you do not have education there, what you're doing is bringing in other technical certifications to make up for it.
Right. Perfect. Thanks so much, ma'am. Thanks a ton.
Appreciate it. My pleasure. Do you have any other hands raised, Shobha? Yes, we do. Vivek.
Yeah, can I ask Vivek? Okay. Yeah, Vivek. Vivek, are you there?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. It's turned on my video for some reason I don't see. Anyways, hi Puneet. Nice to see your profile. I was going through your profile on LinkedIn. See, I ended up good, great career growth there. I remember you said 2011 is when you started, right, with no experience. So it's inspiring to see there. So about me, I have around 12 plus years of QA experience. That was all back in India.
Mhm.
I was into solutions QA, which is more of end-to-end
Yep.
testing, which includes functional, non-functional.
Mhm.
It was mostly into technology companies where
Mhm.
we work on a lot of storage, server virtualization.
Mhm.
But after I had done my PMP and just started into program management before I moved to Canada. So when I came in here, I was a little confused. I also was doing a Scrum Master, certified Scrum Master. So when I came into Canada, I was a little confused, which roles to take. How do I present my profile as, whether in QA field or Scrum delivery, or in terms of program release management. QA, I was concerned with the way Agile was looking at the role of QA manager, the growth in QA ladder, right? Of QA manager, QA directors. At least in the kind of companies I worked in, it was becoming like a single team, and we used to have a development manager who would take care of both QA and the development. It was a single team. So probably that's the reason I didn't focus on that area. I looked into other aspects. I found a role in release management. Then I did, with TELUS, I've been a release project manager. I'm looking to, for a growth because I have now 18 years of experience, and I bring in a lot of, as a release manager, as a Scrum Master QA, I understand complete end to end, and I'm quite technical. So I'm looking at leadership roles, like director kind of roles. So if I have to now switch back to QA director, for example, I need some advice on how to go about it, because I've been not actively been part of QA, but however, as a release manager, I was involved in improvising or optimizing the QA areas. For example, our release implementation window was around 5 hours on every week, weekday on every 2 weeks. Now we have brought that to 3 hours, reduced by 2 hours, by optimizing the QA testing suite between the UAT and others. And in various areas, wherever I see there is, because I come from that QA background, I can't help but many times I wear that hat. But I'm looking at.
Let me just jump in here so that I can give an advice that specifically works for you, Vivek, and anybody else for whom this might be applicable. So what I'm hearing is you want to go into QA leadership now. And even though that's not your current title or role, you have prior experience to it, and you're looking for guidance in terms of how to make that shift. So there are a few things that come to my mind based on what you've shared with me. One is one of the best things that can work in this is try looking for that opportunity within your organization right now. Why I say that is you've already built a reputation within your organization, with your employer. They are aware that even though your title today is a release manager, you've made significant contributions to the QA side as well. And they'll be more than happy, I hope, to give you a chance in that QA field. If that is not a possibility, then my next suggestion would be to try and make a lateral move into another industry where you're not going in for a title higher, but a similar title. So today you're a release manager, try to find a QA manager role in another industry. And the way you can do that is literally whatever you highlighted for us here in this discussion, highlight that in your resume as well. So even though your title is release manager, these are the improvements you made within the QA department, so that it tells us that you're very qualified for that role as well. By the way, know that a lot of companies have QA and release management under a single manager. So that's definitely going to work in your favor. And also, when you're open to making this lateral move of going into QA manager, choose an organization where you see that there is a QA leadership pillar set up. By that, I mean choose an organization that maybe today has a QA manager, but they're open to having a senior QA manager or director, a VP of QA. And that is how I learned to make this transition for myself. I chose an organization that even had a VP of QA. And the reason I chose that is I really wanted to, like yourself, understand how to go into senior leadership without losing the field that I love, that is QA. It is not every day you see those roles, but there are still a fair number of companies that do hire for higher leadership in QA. So go look for that organization, try to make a lateral move, and that's how I think you're going to be very successful.
I'd like to
Thank you,
remind the
Puneet.
house rules. Sorry, thank you so much, Vivek, for your question, but I'd like to remind the house rules to keep the questions short in order to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to ask their questions, and also in interest of time. Puneet, do you want to take one more question or continue and take the next one?
No,
Okay.
I'll take one more question. I promise we'll try to make it fast. Neelam, go ahead.
Yeah, Neelam.
Hi, Puneet. Neelam this side. So, I was working as a software developer back in India. So, I have 5+ years of experience. So, mostly my domain was my skill set was Java, PL/SQL, and this PL/SQL and Python. So, I came over here, and obviously I have a career gap, and yeah, I got this Java Selenium. I just took a course, Java Selenium automation testing course, and yeah, I have a pretty much good idea about how to do, well, means how to do end-to-end test cases and how to automate test online site and everything. So still I'm applying for the positions and I'm not getting calls from anywhere. Like after having a pretty much good idea about this automation testing and all that, still I'm not getting any idea.
Understood.
Yeah, how to do it.
Yep, I really appreciate the question. If you can be a little bit patient, Neelam, we'll get to a point where I actually cover what employers are looking for, and maybe your question is already automatically answered there. If not, then give me a shout again, and I'll take your specific question.
Sure. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, so just bear with me for a couple of slides, and I promise we'll get there. All right, so I'll keep moving for now, Shilpa, and other questions we'll just take on later.
Sure.
So basic topics, and then we come to some of the common tools. So when I covered these basic topics, with these topics come a lot of tools. So this is me giving you some very high level tools. If those topics are too much for you to go and understand, you might be able to relate to some of these names that you might have seen in job description. And also, if you're looking for which specific ones should you learn a little bit more about, this is my guide to you based on my experience. So for test case management, TestRail, Ziffer, X-Ray, Q-Test, know about any one or multiple of these, just so that you have an idea of what a test case management tool looks like. A lot of companies used to, but still do, use Excel, and know that that's fine if that's the only tool that you have experience with, but know an actual tool that's meant for the purpose. For defect tracking, Jira. I mean, again, you cannot, probably this sounds too harsh, but I think it's true. You cannot apply for a QA job in a software industry and not heard about Jira before, so please make sure you know about it. And then I've put in some automation tools that you don't need to know or have a lot of experience with, but still educate yourself. So for UI and end-to-end automation, Cypress, Playwright, Selenium, and Robot Framework are high level, the ones keep coming up in a lot of job descriptions and interviews. For API automation, I think Postman is the simplest, but rest assured keeps coming up as well. So please educate yourself on what these are and what they do. For continuous integration and continuous deployment, Jenkins or Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions, they're all good to know. And for version control, Git. So again, I'm stressing that you don't need to know every single one of these, but in your interview should not be the first time that you're hearing about this. So educate yourself at least at a very high level. All right, so we are coming to a slide, hopefully, that answers some of the other questions that are either in your head or that are actually going to come up. So when you're looking at a job description, the job description tells you mostly the technical skill sets that an employer is looking for. But as some of you mentioned, and as I know, the truth in this industry is the resumes still do not get picked. So what are you doing wrong? You have a great skill set. Why do people not pick up your resume? Here are a few tips that I'm sharing from my personal experience, and hopefully they're helpful for you. One is you're applying for a quality assurance job. Please make sure you produce a quality resume. And I do not say this lightly, even though you see a very nice smiley in there, but I cannot tell you how many times I've seen QA resumes that are full of typos. For me, that's a huge put off because that's your one job. And if with your resume, you're indicating to me that you cannot pay enough attention to detail about what you're actually presenting as your representation to me, I won't want to pick up that resume. So please make sure it has absolutely no typos. And then typos is not the only part that makes a resume a quality resume. Please do not have a lot of repetitions. Please try and highlight with whatever experience or education you have, how has that helped an employer in the past, or how will that help your future employer? And then don't go on and on and on with the exact same things in different job descriptions. Whether you have a 0-year experience or a 15 years experience, there's absolutely nothing that cannot fit in maximum 2 pages. So 1 to 2 pages is the absolute maximum that you should go for. And again, I'll tell you why that matters. You might have heard about it at a lot of different places, but in my particular fields, if you're not succinct and you cannot explain what you're actually trying to sell to me within 2 pages, I'm not confident that you're going to be able to do at the job itself. So number 1 requirement is a quality resume. That is non-negotiable. The second thing that I've learned from experience is I have seen resumes where people who have 2 years of experience with almost every technology on the planet listed on it. And just out of curiosity, I've talked to a lot of those individuals to try and understand where are they coming from and what does that tell me about those resumes. And please make sure you make a good distinction between the tools that you have hands-on practical experience with and the tools that you've just picked up out of curiosity or have seen 1 or 2 YouTube videos on. Of course, be smart about how you present it. Just don't say what I just said. But a lot of times when you're going into interviews and you start asking people technical questions about, let's say somebody's put in Cypress, and they say, I actually don't know because I only heard about Cypress, or I read an article on it, or I've just seen a YouTube video. So make that clear on your resume so that I know that you're very curious about what this technology is and you're educating yourself on it, but also know that you do not have hands-on experience on it. And please make sure you have that distinction so that know that this is a small world is the another part I'm trying to make. Today I'm working here. I've worked at 10 different companies before, and who knows, I could work at 10 different companies. The resumes, the titles, they keep coming up, and from experience, hiring managers can tell a lot of things. So please be succinct and clear. And the last one, career goals. This is very important for QA fields as well, is when somebody asks you about what your career goals are, what a hiring manager in QA is actually looking for is, are you going to stick with me and in this field for a while? And the reason that happens is QA for some people is a stepping stone to a different profile. So it's not uncommon for people who've not been able to gain a development role, a developer role, to first get into a company as a QA and then pivot. It's common for product manager roles as well, where you're just trying to get into a company as a QA, but your aspirations are different. And there is nothing wrong with that. But when I'm making a bet on you as a new hire, and if in the interview itself, you're making it very clear that this is just a stepping stone for you, what is the incentive for me to hire you in that role? And as you know, the job market is tough enough. There might be a lot of other people who actually want to build a career out of this. So when I go into an interview and somebody tells me, I'm going to be very honest with you, I actually want to build a career in development, but I couldn't get that. So I'm taking on this role. My friend, I appreciate your honesty, but please don't do that in interviews. So these three things for me stand out a lot as a hiring manager, apart from the regular interview do's and don'ts. So I see Galaxy S20 FE 5G has raised a hand.
I
All right.
can, sorry, hi Puneet, I forgot to change my name.
All
Sorry,
good.
I'm
am
sorry. Hi, I am Nancy Rhoda. So I want to ask, like, if I have done any certifications post, like from LinkedIn, I have done, and I didn't have any like hands-on experience. So where do I mention that? In only certifications, or I can specify in it in skill section? Like I should specify it in skill section. Okay.
Yes, please mention it in skill section and mention it in your certifications, but do not bring it in your prior experience. You can create a separate section for relevant projects, and that's where you should show that off.
Okay. Thank you.
Hari, I see that your hand is raised, but before we come to that, I want to make sure, Neelam, your question is answered. And if there's anything else that I can help answer from your previous question. So your question was, you have a lot of solid experience and you're very technical, but your resume is not getting picked up. Please let me know if there is any of these boo-boos that is happening in your resume.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, I have my developer background and I have done this testing course as well, but still I'm applying for the positions and it's not getting picked up. I'm not getting calls from anywhere. So my question was this only.
Yep. Okay. So hopefully you can modify your resume a little bit to make sure that all of this is cleaned up in there. The other thing is having a development background is fantastic. You are bringing the technical skill set to the QA side that's much needed. Make sure you are actually in your experience talking about how you used your technical background to help in the quality field, or how could you use that now? So if that is missing, I'd highly recommend you to go add that.
Okay, like it
I'd
should be
like
specific to the position, like specific to the skill set, what I have mentioned in my resume. Yeah, is it? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tie what you've
Neelam,
learned.
I'd like to add that we have a service where we have people with resume and all. Surya will share the link. You can sign up on us for one of our services. We could take it ahead, and also just a few more tips is to constantly network with people in the similar field, because that will also help you further narrow down your search as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
yeah, events like this will help you network with people in similar field.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, you want to take next question, Puneet?
Yeah. All right.
Hari?
Hi. So I have my certification in Scrum Master. I already have that under my belt. And on the topic of certifications earlier, I know that there are QA courses offered on LinkedIn, Udemy, and I believe on Coursera. Do companies, I guess my question is, doing those certifications, on Coursera, Udemy, and LinkedIn. Do companies recognize those certifications, or do they prefer doing a certification from a university like York University or U of T? Because even I believe they also offer QA courses as well.
Excellent question. I was so dreading this question. I was hoping nobody asked me that because it's a tough one. So what I will tell you is, unfortunately, it depends. It depends on who's hiring. And there are not just universities and like online courses like Coursera and Udemy. In QA fields, there are courses like ISTQB as well. And there are companies that have that as a requirement, and there are others who couldn't care less whether you have it or not. So my take on any of this is, it is not just about certification, people. It's about what you're gaining out of that. So what employers care about is, you've done your certification, what are you bringing to the table with that? So by all means, go and highlight whichever course you're taking for whatever reason that you're taking, and employers will respect that. It doesn't have to be one versus the other. To be honest, to me, it comes down to cost. Getting a course from Udemy might be much more affordable than getting it from a York University. I have done both for different reasons. They've tremendously added to my skill set, and that's what I've highlighted when I've gone for my, next interview. So where you get it from is not as important as how you're actually using it. Samir?
Thank you so much. Well, it is something that, Hari, of course, did ask about that. It's something similar to what I was about to ask. But yes, as you have already answered his question, that, it doesn't depend, your certification is from which place or what's the source, but it depends upon what knowledge that you have gained out of it, right? So, I mean, coming back to it, just like, all those topics that you had listed in the basic topics that you need to know before an interview happens. So I just want to know that, is there any specific or is there any kind of a course online or elsewhere that you can recommend where, all these topics get covered, and a person who's like, wanting to start into this field is one can just actually go through those particular online courses and can then, gain that important gain the knowledge in those important topics, and can then can plan and modify a resume for those specific positions.
So when we get to the resources section, I'm going to share some resources which are my go-to for either recommending it to people or gaining more knowledge out of those. So start with those resources, and I'm sure you're going to get answers to almost everything that I listed there.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Don.
Yeah, pleasure.
Puneet,
Nancy?
just a time check. We are left with 20 minutes for 12:30.
Okay, I think we should be good. We'll take Nancy's question.
Just letting you know. Yeah. Okay.
Nancy, do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Hi, Puneet. First of all, very informative session. I'm totally enjoying this conversation. So my question specifically addresses the personal project. So I'm also a mother, and I have a gap of 5 years in full-time experience, where I was working freelance, doing some freelancing projects, but not much. It was most of manual testing, I would say. So I recently, I was doing a lot of research about resumes, and there's something that I believe that makes candidates stand out is something called personal project. Like, you are implementing what you've learned into a project. And would you agree to this? Does it make you stand out? And are there any recommendations that you have on the kind of projects that you look for?
Yep. One is 100%. I would recommend that. And the reason behind that is, you've had a 5 years gap, and that's perfectly fine. Life happens. And as an employer, I personally am more than happy to give you a chance if I see that you have a drive to now continue your career. And how are you going to show me that? That is through your personal project. Personal projects can be of a lot of different types. What speaks most to an employer is, you've taken an online course and you have implemented what you've learned from there in a personal project. That answers a lot of questions from what other candidates have asked. So let's say you've taken an online course on Selenium. Your personal project would be to test something using Selenium and put in your learnings and what you did. So excellent question and an excellent path, Nancy.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's go. All right, resources. So Shabab, sorry I didn't ask you before how we're going to share these resources. So I'll leave this with folks here, and also we'll find a way to get it to you. But some of the resources that I've shared here are, one is types of testing. So this is an Atlassian article that talks a lot about different types of testing. Let me actually show you folks.
Puneet, we can send these by emails after the call, after the webinar. So
okay, sounds good. I'll share it with you guys. You can send it. So Atlassian, the maker of Jira, have a very good article on different types of testing. That's all you need to know. Otherwise, you can spend days reading on types of testing. In terms of community, again, there are a lot of communities in there. And I know Reddit sounds very odd when it comes to professional communities, but it has been absolutely phenomenal in all the researches that I have done in the past few months. So I am a member of Reddit Quality Assurance community. I recommend that you guys go in and sign up for that. And what that helps with is a lot of questions that you are answering. You have a pool of a community that is either thinking the same things as you are thinking, or they were at the same place as you are today, and they'll be able to give you guidance. I'll give you some examples of things that I found out there. One was, I was trying to make a decision recently between two automation tools, Playwright versus Cypress. And for the life of me, I just couldn't figure it out because they had similar pros and cons. And this community helped me decide one versus the other with a very solid mindset of why I was choosing one over the other. In terms of your guys' question about, I've done some certifications, but are they enough? Which ones does the community recommend? Go and ask these folks. Manual to automation, lots of resources there on that. So explore it. Udemy courses, I know it came up. So Udemy is one place where I found courses for very different skill set. So recently I had the pleasure of mentor somebody who was a manual tester and they were looking to transition into automated testing. There was a course that I recommended to them that I had taken personally, and that gave them a very good starting block to go on their automation journey. Know that it's not enough on its own. It's very good if you can apply that at your job, but it helped them. And I've seen a few Udemy courses and success stories around it. So Udemy is a good place. And the other thing that comes up a fair bit is quality metrics. Like, what are we measuring? What does it mean to have a quality product? So I found this article very resourceful, and I go back to it a lot of times, and I've given a link to that as well. So like Shilpa said, this will be shared out with you folks. These are my basic set of resources, and they should take you to other places that you're looking for without going into the wild, wild west of the internet. Somebody, Shalja.
Shailaja?
Hi, Puneet.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
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 I can hear
Hello,
you.
Shailaja, we can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, hi. Hi, Puneet. I'm really glad I'm here today. So my first question would be like, I know everybody here has some experience with QA and some knowledge about it. I only have the bookish knowledge. Like I mean bookish in the sense, yeah, online, whatever I learn. I'm basically from a life science background, and we moved to Canada, and I've been working for 7 years in a laboratory. So now I'm looking for an opportunity to move into QA, especially why QA is because I heard a lot about it, and I'm personally a person who likes to learn things and find out things. So I was reading a lot about it and I felt maybe this is something I want to do. So what do you suggest for a person who don't have a software background but has enthusiasm and willingness to learn? So you
I
have
think
any suggestions for people like me?
I'm very excited that you want to come onto this site. Good luck in your search. In terms of suggestions, I think everything we talked about so far applies to you as well. I know your pivot sounds bigger than anybody else. You're coming from a non-IT background, but you've already looked into it, and this looks like a career that speaks to you. So I would say go in, educate yourself on the basic topics that I mentioned, do some research, take up a couple of courses, and then when you're ready to build a resume, hone onto what your recent courses are going to bring to the table for your future employer. I am not going to fool you by saying it's going to be easy, because there are a lot of people who want to make that shift for a good reason, but it happens, and just hang in there. I would suggest not to leave your full-time job till you're secured in your new career. Otherwise, everything that we've talked about so far, Salja, you should be able to leverage it as well. And again, I think I don't mention it enough, but the Next Innings community is right here for you. They've been sharing a lot of resources in the chat. This is what they do full-time all the time, supporting people like yourself, even myself, for wherever we want to go next. Go leverage those. Leverage this community, leverage what they've given you, and then you shall get it.
Thank you so much for making my job easier, Puneet.
I-
Shailaja,
Yeah.
Surya has left a few links to sign up.
Awesome. Hari.
Yeah, this will be my last question, I promise. So I do quality inspection in for a woodworking company. Like basically, like customers would bring in like tools, and then we would do some sort of an inspection just to make sure that we're checking to see if it meets the requirements to the standards. Are there any transferable skills I could bring from that to for a QA analyst or tester?
I am sure you can, Hari. Can you think of any?
I mean, technically, like analytical skills,
Absolutely. Your
problem
analytical
solving,
skills,
I guess.
your problem solving, your attention to detail. So it's all about wordsmithing, my friend. Having quality inspector in your title is a win already. Now it's up to you in terms of how will you sell the skills you gained in that role to a software QA role.
And I think that's the challenge, because coming from a manufacturing background and trying to transition to IT, like, I mean, or finance, it's something that that's the challenge for me, I feel.
So have you used AI-based tools? Have you heard of ChatGPT?
I've used ChatGPT, but it's not something that I use on a regular basis. Just
with this exact question, you will be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, I'll definitely make use of it more then. Thank you for that.
So one of the easiest thing you can do with ChatGPT is ask it to be your career guide, and that you're transitioning into a QA, and ask you to conduct an interview of you. That will help you refine your answers and also help you think through your process of how to best position yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised ChatGPT hasn't replaced like suggestions like those coming from me. It's going to give you apt answers much faster, so go use it.
One of the things that we often tell our community is to constantly ask for friends to do mock interviews to you. I mean, of course, ChatGPT is always your best friend, ever available to aim friend, but beyond that, a human friend can also probably help. So I I'm from a non-IT background. I do a lot of mock interviews for IT people, and I come up with questions based on what ChatGPT tells me.
That's awesome. Cool. Sakshi?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Puneet. It's a really nice session with you. And I have a question. Like, I have experience of 5 years as a manual QA back home India, and just came to Canada and still looking for that QA jobs. But unfortunately, I'm not able to get any job because didn't get any call from company for QA. But yes, I got a call for technical support. That's what I'm doing right now. But as per suggestions and everything, trying to get a job of QA in the same company, it's very hard. And looking for the other opportunities as well. But I don't know, like, why resume is not picking up, and all the other jobs resume is picked up for that. And experience is just a QA. So not sure like where I am lagging. And one more thing, there is a job descriptions when they say entry level jobs and looking for 5 or 6 year experience, and in 5 or 6 years experience they are looking for 10-year experience. So like it's really difficult to find out like where we can apply, what they are expecting, and which job description suits me, because I just set up the notification like whenever any job pop up on LinkedIn, I just apply, I read it, and just tailor the resume, and within an hour I just apply for that job. But unfortunately, didn't get any updates from the company to on that.
Okay, so a couple of things here, Sakshi. One is I'm going to plug in again what Shilpa has been saying for a while. Use Next Innings. They might be able to look at your resume and give you proper tips in terms of is there something in the resume, and they might be able to help you with the job search as well. So please go and use that. The second thing I'll say is I have seen, so the way that job tracking systems work for a particular company is if I have few different roles and your resume comes in a lot in all those different roles, I can see that. So that tells me that you yourself are not very confident on which profile do you actually fit in, and you're nilly-willy applying to every single role that opens up. So my suggestion to you is first understand which hat are you ready to wear. This is your experience and this is your skill set. When you're looking at job description, where best can you apply that experience to, and try to stick with it plus minus 2 years so that you do not come across somebody who's just ready to take anything up. It helps a lot, in my opinion.
Okay, and the job which I'm doing right now, because to survive we need to do a job, right? So I'm just doing a technical support. So is that something that I'm on the right track to get a QA? Because still I'm in the tech, but it's a 5 years gap now in between a QA job and to achieve another QA position.
Definitely possible, Sakshi. Life happens. It happens more often than you think it does. A lot of people have gaps. You're back in a technical sphere. I have seen a lot of shifts from like technical support or customer support to QA roles. And the reason that helps is technical support people understand the software inside out. And that is one of the requirements for the QA role. So make sure you highlight that in your resume. And again, what skill set did you gain on job as a technical support person that you're going to bring into QA? I want to see that on your resume. Hiring manager wants to see that.
Okay,
So,
sure.
Awesome, thank you. So time check, it's 27. I just want to quickly wrap up because I'm at the end, but I will still make sure we take a few more questions. So on that note, I know it feels difficult, but you guys got this. Good luck, leverage all the community. And after hearing me blabber on for an hour and a half, if you guys still think I have any value to provide to you, please do not hesitate to ping me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to have a coffee chat with you folks and help answer more specific questions for you that might not be applicable widely. And with that, I leave you with our LinkedIn profiles. Next innings team, Shilpa, absolute pleasure being here in front of this audience and getting a chance to talk to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Puneet. This was wonderful. And the wealth of knowledge that you come with was very useful for our community. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you wholeheartedly. And I'd also like to thank the community members who joined us for this chat today. Like she mentioned, she's available on email, LinkedIn, and other resources that she has shared will be shared to you on email as well. My colleague Surya will make sure all of it reaches you. Do connect with us on LinkedIn and do sign up for any of our services that you would like. We're always there to support you in your job search journey. Thank you so much. All of you have a, would you want to take, we are left with 1 more minute. Do you want to take one more last question, Puneet?
Absolutely, bring it on.
Yeah. Samir, you want to go? Sakshi, you asked your question, right? Okay, Samir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Puneet. So just the last thing, since I mentioned that I have experience, I have certifications in cloud. So this cloud certifications are going to be helpful for me to, if I want to in an interview, I want to tell this thing, okay, fine, this certification is there, how it's going to be helpful for the job role that I'm applying in QA. So can I just correlate it? And of course, the experience, that sales experience, support experience, which I already have, I had it at Microsoft. That of course is something I can talk about it. But of course, entire experience of mine, how I can relate it to this profile.
So if your question is, can you use it? Absolutely, yes. How? Again, depends on what skill sets do you think you can bring to QA, and ask. I think this question was covered before, and Shilpa was very helpful in pointing out. Ask friends like ChatGPT, how can this particular certification be used in QA? Ask different community members in terms of how they see that beneficial, and use Next Innings. They're going to help you figure that out.
Okay, perfect. And just one last more thing. Since I was laid off, and I've been trying to find out a job, did not get that. So in the meanwhile, what I did was just to fall back on something. I just did a certification mortgage agent, and I just took up a license of mortgage agent. And I'm enrolled with one of the organizations just to maybe counting it as experience, and maybe if I can do something along with it. And parallelly, of course, I'm studying for Microsoft Azure Administrator certification, which is a next advanced level certification for this. So is it going to be helpful for me to cover my gap?
Is your certification knowledge going to be helpful to cover your gap? Absolutely. Along with that, take on a side project like one of the community members suggested, and then highlight how you use that project and the course and certifications and tie them together, and it is going to be helpful.
All right.
And
Perfect.
try
Thank
to
you.
get
Thank you so
a
much.
project in a startup because they're more open to taking resources like short-term contract positions and things like that.
Okay. Okay. Let me know, Shilpa. Just message me, ping me. I just missed out on the last part, what you said about the short-term internships that you said.
So I said, look for startups who will need you to do these projects for them. It's just easier to crack them.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks to both of you. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights. It's been a great help.
Thank you so much. Please feel free to email Puneet and reach out to her on LinkedIn if you have further questions. In the interest of time, we'll have to end this call. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks a lot.